Good morning. This is an audio test for August 5th, 2026. Good morning. For any callers who wish to provide public, multiple item, or single item comments, please raise your hand so I can go ahead and unmute you and list your name for the record. Audit LA, good morning. What items will you be speaking on today?
Good morning. I would like to speak on public comment and all agenda items, please.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Sandra, what items will you be speaking on this morning?
I would just like to speak on general, please.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. For our virtual callers, I will remind you again, if you have multiple item, single item, or public comment, please raise your hand so I could go ahead and unmute you and list your name for the record. Thank you. Elcon Hubbard, what items would you like to speak on today? Hello?
I would like to speak on public.
Okay, I'll go ahead and put you down. Thank you so much. Good morning. Laura FM, what items would you like to speak on today?
Good morning. All agenda items, please, and general public comment.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mercham. What items would you like to speak on this morning?
Hi, I would like to give a general public comment, please.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. We are now in record mode.
All right, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Public Works for Wednesday, August 5th, 2026. Ms. Reyes, please take roll and establish quorum.
Yes, President Kong, President Pro Tem Grant, Commissioner Mitchell, Commissioner Cardenas, we have quorum, and we are joined today by Representative City Attorney Representative Virginia Choi, and I am Sandy Reyes.
Thank you very much. We'll get started with general public comment, which is an opportunity for the public to address the board on public interest items and will be provided up to 1 minute per person, up to a cumulative total of 10 minutes for the general public comment segment of each regular meeting. Testimony shall be limited in content to subject matters which are within the jurisdiction of the Board of Public Works. The board may not take any action on any matters discussed during the public comment period. We'll start with in-person speakers. Goat Puppet.
In my hand is this document. This document taps into the erosion of street maintenance services, the corruption behind stealing state and federal monies to allocate millions of dollars into street resurfacing and projects is gross negligence on your part. And why do I say this, Mr. Steve Kang? Because I'm an American citizen, naturally born. And I support Donald J. Trump, and Donald J. Trump told me to tell this world, this city, 42 U.S.C. 1983, under the color of law 18242 and 245, this warning is fuck you, Los Angeles. You continue to disrupt our way of life, our social well-being. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's transition to our virtual callers.
Yes, and we will begin with Sandra. Sandra, go ahead.
Good morning. Under Section 5610 of the Streets and Highway Act, owners of lots fronting a portion of the public street are to maintain any sidewalks as not to endanger persons or property. The area between Catalina, L. Ron Hubbard along Fountain is damaged to the point that a disabled person in any kind of accessibility conveyance are incapable of safely accessing the street. Under Section 5611, the superintendent of streets should be notifying the owners of said property to repair that. That would be the human trafficking criminal organization of Scientology. Now, one would expect proper legal permits, licensed workers with vetting from the city, and proper insurance would be in place before these repairs would be beginning, and not letting Scientology use their slave labor workforce to do these repairs. When is the city going to take care of that? Thank you, and I yield back my time.
Thank you. Next, we have Audit LA. Audit, go ahead.
Good morning. There's been so many questions. You know, why is Scientology going to get away with hijacking a street without a permit? Yes, I know another entity applied for the permit, but that festival was run by Scientology. And is there going to be any consequences? Are you guys going to respond to me about my request to reevaluate our permit? Are you guys going to take anything seriously? Are you guys going to help stop what's going on? It's an actual siege of a city street. We see it in Florida happening, and we see it here. Until the public realizes that it's a public street, and until Scientology realizes it's a public street, until the city acts like it's a public street, we plan on keep coming and telling you and asking you to do something about it. There's too much going on in that community to have a privatized, illegally
you. That's time.
privatized street. And the parking.
Next, we have Elcon Hubbard. Go ahead.
Well, it seems like calling is useless, just like you guys. And fuck that guy that's a Trump supporter, by the way. Yeah, the guy in the red, fuck you. yeah. And yeah, it's kind of useless to call. What are you guys doing? What the fuck are you guys doing? And fuck that guy in the red again. Fuck you too. Okay, I yield my time.
Dickhead. Mr. Kang, you need to stop this bitch from attacking me, otherwise I'm going to keep speaking up against this faggot.
Eat a dick.
Did he hear you?
Yeah.
Stay on topic, bitch.
I yield my time.
Oh,
Personal attacks.
That's time. Thank you. And next, we have Laura FM. Laura, go ahead.
Good morning, board. We're asking and again, stop giving Scientology, the corruption organization hiding behind a religious status, any more permits. Stop letting them illegally shut down L. Ron Hubbard Way. Stop letting them own and control the whole environment. Take away the authority from Scientology to be harassing and stalking members around anywhere there's a city building of Los Angeles, let alone the United States. But in Los Angeles, where they own the owned land is owned by Scientology. Why is that? Because they want to run the community. They want to take over the world. They want to, quote, clear the planet. That means to make everybody a Scientologist, against human rights, against mental health care, against psychiatry, against freedom of speech. This is all Scientology's manipulative control tactics that you allow because you give them permits. They violate their permits every single
Laura,
time.
that's time. And next we have Merjam. Merjam, go ahead.
Hi. I just want to talk about Elron Hubbard Way and the frustrated caller before who actually lives on Elron Hubbard Way and gets harassed by Scientology all the time. Elron Hubbard Way is a public street. However, Scientology is acting as if it is their own North Korea in the middle of Los Angeles, harassing other people who are living on that street. That street needs to have public access, and it needs to be seized from the control of Scientology, period. We have given you again and again proof how they are violating also their permits. Why does that road need to be closed that often for cults, fake PR events where they are trying to recruit innocent people inside the cult? I yield back my time.
Thank you. And we have 2 more callers with their hands up. May I check? Okay. Georgina, do you have public comment today?
Yes, I do. I'd like to talk about the fact that they came out in the middle of the night and stole that street. They came out and incrementally painted that curb red and literally stole that street from the public. That street needs to be opened up for the public, and it needs to remain open for the public. It needs to have parking on it. There are 3 major hospitals within a 2-block radius of that street. Those hospitals are expanding. That parking is valuable. You know how valuable parking is in Los Angeles. Why are we allowing a private entity to steal a public street? It needs to be opened up for parking. It would be a valuable asset to the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Jacob, do you have public comment today?
Is this for agenda items?
This is for public comment. Do you have a multiple agenda item?
I have a single agenda item.
Okay, we'll get to that in a minute. Thank you.
Thank you.
That concludes virtual items.
Thank you very much. We'll go back to in-person. Mr. Go Puppet, the floor is yours.
So I come again. South Carondelet Avenue in San Marino has been taken over by a gang. Thieves. So today, the LA Department of Water and Power just emailed me. There's a yellow cord across the street of San Marino off of James M. Woods and South Hoover Street into a parking lot, then to a gang enforcement blockade on the cul-de-sac ending on Hoover Street. Water hydrant has hose attached. So what the fuck are you doing? You want to burn down 114 units of housing on a little cul-de-sac? Here's Hoover and here's Carondelet, and you got 3 guys smoking methamphetamine yesterday in the tree well. In the fucking tree well. In the goddamn tree well. 3 of them in the tree well. What the fuck are you doing about this? They're going to set this on fire. What are you doing about it? They're tampering and destroying the hydrant on one side, and they're trying to burn the fucking place down on the other side.
Thank you very much. Your time is up.
Get some justice.
Next speaker, James Duncan.
Get out there.
Good morning, commissioners, city attorney, and President King. I just want to thank the commission for listening to me Friday and Monday. I wish I had come forward 20 years ago because as a public works employee, I'm entitled to talk to the board about any issue. So I endured 20 years of harassment, discrimination, and retaliation, but I did act for them for 10 years. After 1 year, city civil service rules, you're entitled to the position. But I just got more retaliation for complaining about the discrimination. So now I'm retired, but I would like to talk to you. I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to speak to you privately later. But and I would also like to bring to your attention things that still go on as far as unethical things and unfair things with my previous employer. And I know, as they say, where the bodies are hid, so I'm willing to help you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. With that, we will close general public comment portion of today's meeting and move on to multiple agenda item public comment. The board will provide an opportunity for members of the public wishing to speak on more than one agenda item during multiple agenda item comment period for up to a minute per item, up to a total of 3 minutes per meeting. This is the only time to speak on more than one agenda item, and please identify the items that you will speak on when you are called. We'll start with our in-person speaker, Mr. Khan.
God damn. Safety and mobility projects. How fucking long have we as taxpayers waited for safe mobility on our streets? Well, look, here's the conditions today. You got dickheads that ride their scooters and electric bikes on the sidewalk. You got dickheads on these motorcycle devices riding up and down the sidewalks, jumping up on the curves, endangering the public. Did you ever think ahead to put signs that say, you dumb motherfuckers, stay off the sidewalk and streets and use your transportation where it belongs, on the goddamn street? It's like the People Mover in LAX. What the fuck? That project should have been finished. And you guys keep rolling over and rolling over and rolling over on the taxpayers and Donald J. Trump infrastructure program. Why is that? The fucking state, you got that dumb fuck, Newscom, that other dumb bitches in assembly that don't do shit to fix the fucking problem. The same fucking problem I'm discussing about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 fucking items on this agenda about safety and mobility. Why is that, Mr. Kang? Why does an American citizen like me, a white motherfucker with a bad attitude, NWA motherfucker, have to come in here and show my true colors? Fuck UCLA, fuck the city attorney, and fuck everyone else who continues to corrupt the stealing of what's going on against the public. And by the way, a whole fucking month to clean out a warehouse in Boyle Heights, really? That sounds fucking as stupid as me wiping my ass with a dollar bill and flushing it each time I go to the toilet. So tell Karen Bass to get the fucking carrot in front of her mules and start working. You people are behind. We're the worst fucking state, the worst fucking country to show what we really are. Look at these other countries in Europe. They've been there longer than us, and they got the best public transportation in the world. And we fall third place behind. Oh, we're playing catch up. I get it, right? Let's have contingencies. Let's ask for more millions of dollars to finish a project that went a quarter of a mile for $1 billion, and now let's ask for another $10 billion to finish the fucking project. Now, just like Scientology and their fucking process of permits, why can't we get permits to fast track a lot of this work and get the fucking job done right? For the record, here's a public document.
Thank you very much. Next speaker, we have Goat Puppet.
Guard your ears, guys. No telling what he's going to talk about. Toxic duo back.
All right, so 3 minute. So of course, while I'm here and your city council knows that I'm here when I check in, they always email the council president to tell them when me and Mr. Herman come in the building. So they decided, since I'm here, let's start public comment at 16 after 10. You see, this city is a criminal enterprise under federal and state law. So tomorrow, federal Judge Carter is going to call the FBI and the Department of Justice in to talk to your Board of Public Works and HACLA and all of these agencies dealing with homeless to want to know, why are there all these fucking homeless and a 16% increase on the streets, and we keep giving you more money? So that's tomorrow. Then Friday, on agenda item 3, CD9, the councilman goes to court tomorrow to see how many of the 12 felony charges he's going to be facing. And to think that this man is getting paid $27,000 a month plus full health benefits for his wife, his kids, and himself to face felony charges. And his term expires in December the 1st, so he gets a lifetime pension. For what? Current price. What did he do for us? Steered hundreds of millions of dollars of business away from LA. Do you know that the Clippers deal to move the Clippers to Inglewood was in part due to that? Did you know that we lost 2 football teams at the Farmers Field that was going to be built next to the 110 freeway? We were going to get those 2 football teams, but the Coliseum Commission was headed by Curran Price. And they decided it was better to tear down the convention center, rebuild it, and build a soccer field. Meanwhile, his billionaire friend, Stan Kroenke, bought Inglewood, Hollywood Park, and built SoFi Stadium. Did you know that that's why we don't have 2 NFL teams in Los Angeles, right down there by the 110 freeway? Did you know that? You don't fucking know that. I've been following this shit for years. I have U.S. attorneys and FBI agents. They got books, tens of thousands of pages on council members. Every fucking time they've been going, reject, reject, reject. Commissioners, reject. Everybody, no filing, reject, no filing, reject, because you guys bought the U.S. Attorney's Office with a commissioner that used to be on the LAPD commission. And I come here, and you're missing another commissioner. You only have 4 commissioners. Where the fuck is the 5th commissioner? Why don't you have 5 people here? So, again, people will go to prison. People will go to jail. But who's going to stay and pay for all this? The homeowners and the businesses. That's the shame.
Thank you very much. Let's transition to our virtual callers.
We will begin with Audit LA. Audit, go ahead.
Good morning again. I kind of want to piggyback on what Mr. Herman was talking about. You know, the streets and the safety and the mobility issues are a hot mess, and they do need to be fixed. And every time I see tons of money going for unnecessary things all the time. And yet every time you're dealing with the streets, and I mean the sidewalks especially, for mobility's sake, it's peanuts. It's just like chump change being thrown at it. And, you know, as someone in the chair who just lost another chair, you know, because my tire is so damaged, you know, it's just ridiculous. And so I see that you guys are doing, like, all of a sudden you just like saying deny the appeal. But, you know, is it because they want more from it? Is it because the people who are, you know, who are asking you to, you know, to, who are appealing is it because you guys aren't doing enough? And if you're not doing enough, why aren't you doing enough? It just seems like the sidewalk situation, getting around, is just a low priority to the city. And I don't get it. There's so much stuff you put your attention to that isn't as important as our sidewalks, our sidewalk infrastructure. Then I want to talk about the minutes. Okay, and we've been saying it a lot, you know, I get it, whatever. I know it's a broken record. It's becoming a broken record for myself as well. But it's okay. I mean, broken records may have some value after all, right? So I don't understand why. To me, it's just bad form, like to just, you know, if other entities, other commissioners are doing really good minutes and putting things down, you know, at least so we can, you know, people can know what happened the last meeting and what was said the last meeting, what the public interest was the last meeting, the previous meetings. Like, I don't understand why you're so like just like digging your feet in the ground and saying nope. It just seems, I just don't get it. And especially since I like volunteered to actually help you do it. So that stuff is things that it's just, it doesn't make sense to me. The neighborhood council also, I've been asking you guys, neighborhood council system is very important to me. It absolutely is. I've served on them. And you know, and there isn't a connect, even just with regular stuff besides, what we're here for. Just in general, there should be a better outreach. But you guys are not notifying them of street closures unless that's changed miraculously lately. But from every time they say, no, we're not being notified of street closures. And it needs to be, that needs to stop. There needs to be, if it's bad enough that the big entities, right, like BR Street Services and the Department of Building and Safety, you all don't connect. You and LAPD don't connect. Like y'all, no one knows what each other's doing. Corsan, former President Corsan confirmed that. And even he was confused by it. So how can we expect you to then try to connect to,
Thank you, that's time audit.
Thank you.
Next, we have Laura FM. Laura, go ahead.
Thank you. I'm going to also echo what Audit LA was just saying and also remind you that it is your job. If you're on a position of the city as a board member of Public Works and we have people calling in requesting and asking you to change the minutes, put it, not even change it, just make it so that it's available for any entity, a city staff member, a lawyer, somebody trying to take down the abuses of Scientology that you guys keep giving permits to. It's unacceptable, unacceptable. The least you can do is put it on the minutes. That's the least you can do. The other least thing you can do is notify the neighborhood councils about this constant corruption of Scientology, including, but not limited to, the blue building on L. Ron Hubbard Way that we've been requesting to be put back as a revocable permit. It's a revocable permit. It's never once been asked to be revoked, and we've been begging or asked to be put on the, it's never once been put on the agenda. Why? Why has that not been put on the agenda after 3 years? How many times do we have to keep asking for this? When do the neighborhood councils get notified when Public Works isn't doing their job? The neighborhood councils have a right to know that there's a huge issue right now with Scientology infiltrating the city to get public permits to recruit internal indentured servant members for the rest of their lives, to take over their lives. That's what Scientology does. And you guys give them the permits. You allow it. You approve it. We have emailed you dozens, thousands of times now between all of us and the people that were born and raised in the cult of Scientology to please put it on the minutes, to please notify the neighborhood councils. Make it a normal thing that the neighborhood councils know what's happening in the East Hollywood area, that there are many protesters exposing the abuses of the Public Works permits from Scientology. It needs to be known. Neighborhood councils, people are afraid to be on the neighborhood council boards because Public Works keeps giving Scientology all these permits, which allows them to make it seem like they're doing something okay. You guys are you're allowing this criminal behavior to happen. This has been going on for 70 years. Slavery, child abuse, human rights abuse, psychiatric mental health neglect. And you guys are the responsible ones for this, for allowing it to continue, because you give them the permits. You don't notify the neighborhood councils. Nobody's talking to the neighborhood councils about all these corrupt Scientology permits or street closures when they don't even have a permit that's approved. Who allows this? Who? President Kang, you allow this. It is your job to make something big happen. It doesn't matter if Scientology is going to go after you. That's part of your job. That's your respect.
Thank you.
That's your
time.
duty.
Next, we have Jacob Weiserman. Go ahead.
My hand wasn't up.
Sorry?
Oh, I'm still waiting for single agenda comment. My hand was not up.
This would be what item?
Item, the Ohio Avenue one. That would be item number 1.
Okay, thank you.
We can hear that now.
You want to hear that? Okay. Go ahead, Jacob.
Oh, thank you. Hope I get my full time. Yes, my name is Jacob Wasserman. I am a Neighborhood Council Stakeholder Committee member of the Northwestwood Neighborhood Council, but speaking for myself and a regular bike rider on Ohio Avenue. The project is going to save my life. Like, having a cycle track there will prevent cars from injuring me. And so this is an amazing project, and I'm glad the plans are as strong as they are. What I don't get is why it's not being considered an HOA appeal. I mean, the question here is it an improvement under the ballot language? And the answer is yes. The ballot materials make clear that it is. The city code that was passed to limit HOA is not in compliance with what was passed by the voters. But more than that, just think about this. We're installing concrete, bolting it into the street. By your logic, denying the appeal, you could close off a whole street and it wouldn't count for HOA. You could make a bike superhighway with 6 bike lanes, but as long as you never touched the pavement or only did slurry seal, it wouldn't count for HOA. It's just absurd. It's not what the voters voted for. And honestly, take the win. Like, count this for HOA and boost your numbers. Like, it is compliant with HOA. Just accept it. This is the most perplexing denial because we're not, the applicants aren't actually asking for anything but for you to count it under HOA and protect it from weakening in the future. But nothing in the design is compliant. So I don't get why you won't take the win. It seems like it's a matter of principle, I guess, to
Jacob.
go
That's
against what
time.
the voters voted for. Thank you.
Thank you very much. With that, we will close the multiple item public comment. Is there one more?
There's one more person.
Okay, thank you.
Georgina, go ahead.
Yes, please don't skip me. So I want to start with the minutes. The minutes need to reflect the fact that we keep calling in. There's no reference to these calls at all. You say we have to claim our name for the public record, and then we're not included on the public record. At the very least, you could change your YouTube channel to have appropriate titles. Just throw the date in the title. That's all we're asking. That way, at least these calls are researchable. Right now, they are not. As far as the sidewalks go, the fact that Audit LA hasn't been able to get there in the last 2 weeks is partly due to the crappy-ass sidewalks that ruined her latest chair. She just got a new chair. It's already broken because the sidewalks are shit. You need to open up the sidewalks to all pedestrians on L. Ron Hubbard Way. It needs to be addressed. Their permit abuses need to be addressed. The fact that the council members for the neighborhood councils don't get the permit parameters in time to even investigate them is atrocious. You need to do better. Thank you. I yield back my time.
Thank you. That's the end of multiple item comment.
Thank you very much. With that, we will close the multiple item public comment portion of today's meeting and move forward with the approval of minutes for Monday, July 27th, 2026. I'll move. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Mitchell.
Thank you, and we'll roll call the minutes. President Kong?
Aye.
President Pro Tem Grant?
Aye.
Commissioner Mitchell? Commissioner Cardenas?
Aye.
All ayes, approved.
Thank you very much. Moving on to our agenda items today, our HLA appeals. So we'll start with item number 1.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you again for the opportunity to collaborate here on HLA. I appreciate the time. We'll go ahead and dive right into agenda item number 1, discussing the Ohio Avenue Safety and Mobility Project. So this is a project from in CD5 and CD11 along Ohio Avenue from Westwood to Westgate. We are restriping the street to provide protected Class 4 bicycle lanes. So this is no resurfacing. It's 2.1 miles of restriping and restriping the street to add those Class 4 protected bike lanes. DOT staff is asserting that this project does not trigger Measure HLA and is not an improvement. The appellant is claiming that we are erroneously exempting this project in that this project should be an improvement, and DOT is recommending that we deny this appeal. We are simply restriping the street to create that two-way protected bicycle lane. As a result, it is not an improvement, as it is restriping the street without making additional improvements. Additionally, the city is actually installing we're installing standard and optional elements for the bend, so we are going above and beyond the mobility plan designation as well. And that's it for my side of Ohio.
Thank you very much. I'll bring up Mr. Linton.
Hi, I'm one of two appellants on this item. Yeah, the Ohio project, again, as I've spoken about before, is the exemption in HLA applies to restriping that restores the existing striping. The city in this project is reconfiguring the street. It's adding new bike lanes. It's changing the width and the way the street is striped. It's not putting back the existing striping. In addition, this project is putting in concrete barriers between the bike lane and the car traffic. That's great. I love it. I appreciate that. But that's not restriping without other improvements. This HLA applies to this project. The neighbors are fighting this project, and HLA is a way that the city can fully implement this project instead of watering it down when the council office or when people complain about projects that are great for safety. So the one other thing is there's one section of the project, so the mobility plan builds networks and streets, this street A connects street B, connects street C. The city has chosen not to do the block of Westgate between Ohio and Santa Monica Boulevard that's in the plan, and instead is traffic calming other streets. So in some ways, this project is not, for one block, this project is great for the mobility plan and great for bicyclists, great for street safety, great for everyone who uses Ohio Avenue. But it doesn't match up with the rest of the city's plan. So I would urge you to, as the caller said, take the win. This project is what HLA is about, is adding bike and pedestrian and traffic calming, and it's unclear why the city is ignoring its own plan and claiming that a project that largely complies with HLA that HLA doesn't apply to it. And it makes folks like me and the caller suspicious that the city is like watering down this project. The city does rounds and rounds and rounds of outreach, and every time the project gets worse. So HLA assures that this project meets a certain minimum. When you reconfigure the street, you gotta meet the city's plan. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Liu, we'll bring you back up if you first want to address any of the points that the appellant has made.
Yes, thank you. So I think maybe just addressing that last point first, that this idea of the city taking the win for this project. We are very proud of this project. This is a project that is providing a much needed connection to Westwood Boulevard and UCLA, right? And these are all safety improvements that, we've been engaging the community on and very much advertising this project, right? There's nothing about this project that is going to be watered down because we are declaring it a restriping exemption, right? So we are still implementing all the safety improvements that are standard elements, right? We are including the NEN treatments along the block of street that that Mr. Linton was discussing, where we just need to kind of go that extra block. We are installing the NEN there, which that block is on the NEN, the Neighborhood Enhanced Network. And then lastly, just discussing the concrete barriers and restriping issue. We have talked about this in a previous hearing, but the concrete barriers are bolt-in barriers. And so they are another sort of tool in the toolkit of a protected bicycle lane, right? So it's really no different from a bollard other than its sort of material and form. The way it's installed is still the same. It's installed as a part of a class 4 bike lane as a part of that striping plan, right? So it doesn't require a civil. It's not sort of a different activity. So for that reason, installing that class 4 bike lane is still restriping for DOT.
So on that note, if I could ask, I know the project includes like speed humps, traffic circle signage, left turn restrictions. So just if you can just re-jog my memory why those features are not considered quote unquote improvements for the purposes of restriping.
Yeah, again, using the word quote unquote improvements as defined by Measure HLA, right? None of those treatments that you mentioned involve resurfacing, right? So if resurfacing occurs, then that is an improvement. But including left turn restrictions, including speed humps, those are not improvements as defined in Measure HLA.
President Pro Tem Grant.
Yes, Kevin. So I understand the restriping, which is putting new paint wherever we decide it needs to go. The question is the conjunction of restriping without other improvements. And I guess is your position, the position of the Bureau, that anything other than a resurfacing does not constitute an improvement?
I'll go ahead and tap in City Attorney here for that one.
I don't think staff is taking the position that the only thing that can be an improvement is resurfacing. I think what staff is saying on this project, these other elements that are being incorporated into the street, whether it's a sign, a speed hump, in some cases a project may include trees being planted, that those are not improvements as it's defined in HLA.
Council, what besides resurfacing would constitute an improvement?
Well, that's an issue not before you in this project.
Oh,
so
I guess unless you don't view that concrete blocks would be included within that.
No, that's just an element of what a striped protected bike lane would be. Another feature, and I don't know if we've had any of these, so we'd have to look at it if it comes up. If a street is widened,
I'm sorry.
if a street is widened,
right,
that could be. But again, that actually wasn't part of the initiative description of improvement. Only resurfacing was. So it's resurfacing is how improvement was characterized. So that's why we've defined improvement to be resurfacing.
Commissioner Mitchell.
So if I understand, the types of improvements under HLA are not those that are contemplated by this project, correct?
Improvement is a defined term.
Pardon?
So, improvement is a term defined in HLA. So improvement being a defined term, we use the definition that's in HLA. as a word that is, not a coined word, it's an English language word. It as an English language word, it can have other means. You could look it up in the dictionary. But HLA defined it. So when a term is defined, its scope is limited to the definition. We didn't write the definition. It was in the initiative ordinance. So we limit ourselves to the initiative ordinance. It could have defined it any way it wanted to. But since as a defined term, its meaning is limited to the definition given to it.
Okay, Mr. Liu?
Yes, Commissioner Mitchell, I heard you ask if there were improvements included in this project. Is that correct? Was that your question?
No, what I'm saying is the two-way bike lane, bicycle enhanced network, those types of improvements are not the improvements that HLA was meant to cure.
Correct.
Thank you. Any other questions before I bring up Mr. Linton again? All right. Commissioner Carnes.
No, just a comment. I think staff has been very consistent with their application of the definition. I think we can all agree that adding a bike lane is a quote improvement, but not the improvement that we're talking about in this ordinance. So, kind of a play on words, but we have to stick to the definition that was defined in the measure. Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Linton, any final feedback?
Yeah, I just want to read the actual legal language that voters voted on and passed. So improvements means any paving project or other modification. So, or other modification or paving. It's not just repaving, it's modification. So any paving project or other modification of at least 1/8 of a mile in length on a city-owned right-of-way, including a street, parking strip, or sidewalk. Then it has some exemptions. Improvements do not include restriping of the road without making other improvements. So restriping is not exempt when you're adding bike lanes, when you're reconfiguring the street, you're doing other improvements that are more than 1/8 of a mile in length. I mean, the city, legal folks and are trying to, shove everything through a loophole that says only resurfacing counts, and then when they resurface, they say resurfacing doesn't count. So, I mean, I think that the city is, violating the voter language and the law, and it's your job to, to study the law and to understand that it's not just resurfacing, it's or other modifications greater than 1/8 of a mile in length. And restriping is not exempt when it's combined with reconfiguring the street. Thank you.
Mr. Linton, I have a question. The language was put before the voters, correct? Straight from what was drafted?
Yeah, that's the language that I just read, yeah.
So you're specifically talking about a paving project. What other modification did you contemplate at the time you or others placed this on the ballot?
I mean, the voter pamphlet talks about bollards, talks about, I mean, there's
Does it talk
lots
about
of
bollards?
modifications. It's changes made to 1/8 of a mile long. So, I mean,
So if it's 1/8 of a mile long and it makes any modification to the roadway, your position is that that is an improvement that requires HLA?
If it's reconfiguring, if the striping is worn out and you're just putting
Where's the
on
reconfiguration?
the restriping that was already
Where's the
there,
reconfiguration?
that's exempt. But if you're changing the striping, yes, you trigger HLA if it's more than 1/8 of a mile.
If you're changing the striping more than 1/8 of a mile,
Yes.
So whatever you do, more than 1/8 of a mile constitutes an improvement, even though that's not the definition of improvement.
The definition is repaving or other modification.
But that was as to the street, correct?
Yeah, to the street, the sidewalk, the city-owned right-of-way.
No further questions. Mr. Luke?
Commissioner.
You have any response to Mr. Linton's position, or is that a legal question, counsel?
Legal question.
When you look to the voter initiative, we are also allowed to look at the voter information pamphlet, which was what the voters looked at. Now, not everything in the voter information pamphlet we look to for guidance as to what the initiative proponents intended. So, for example, we don't look at the arguments against, because others wrote that. We do look at the official ballot description, and we also look to the language that the initiative proponents, the people who wrote Measure HLA, who chose to define improvement in the way they did, we do look to their positions and their descriptions. How does Measure HLA work? And when you look to that, again, the words of the ordinance is defined by in the four corners of the ordinance. And the description that Mr. Linton read, he read it directly from the ordinance. But when you look to the voter information pamphlet, you can get guidance as to try to understand what it meant. And there it's paving projects, which is the resurfacing. Again, Commissioner Grant asked about, well, what other kind of thing might include that? And we don't have that in front of us. But I think another type of project that could very likely be considered an improvement under HLA would be a street widening, where we're making that change, and if it's more than 1/8 of a mile. Sometimes there are very short sections that get widened for particular projects, but a street widening would very likely trigger Measure HLA if done in a sufficient length. And that would be the kind of other modification that we'd look to as likely triggering Measure HLA. We have yet to see one of those. But the other types of things that are, sparsely added to a particular roadway, whether it's a speed bump or signage or anything else, that just simply isn't an improvement. Does it improve the situation? No doubt. That's not within the improvement as defined in HLA. And then more as a practical standpoint, I don't know if there's been anything identified in this project or anything that's been left out that Measure HLA would have required. So at the end of the day, I think the take the win is just a matter of what are we calling it? And so it's not, but the staff has gone above and beyond and carried out what the mobility plan would call for. And if this project had triggered Measure HLA, it would look exactly the same. But it didn't trigger Measure HLA because it's not an improvement, but it's doing everything that would have been required had there been an improvement. Again, improvement as defined in the voter initiative. And staff will come up and correct me if I mischaracterize that, but I think that gets to the crux of it.
No mischaracterization there. I think we'll also add that we said this on other projects as well. When we do resurface this street, it will be an HLA project, right? And it will involve the applicable networks, but we are certainly right now pre-complying with that future project, if that makes sense. So we are still going to take credit for this. We are now, and we will in the future as well. So
Thank you very much. Mr. Lynchen, did you want to say anything final before we deliberate? No, thanks. Okay. Commissioners, any other last minute questions or comments on item number 1? Okay. All right. Given what we just heard, is there a first and a second on item number 1?
I'll second.
First by Commissioner Mitchell, seconded by Commissioner Cardenas. Yes, that is going with the recommendation. Yes.
Okay, we'll take a vote. President Kong,
Aye.
President Pro Tem Grant,
No.
Commissioner Mitchell, Commissioner Cardenas.
Aye.
So that is approved and moves forthwith.
Thank you very much. Moving on to item number 2, HLA for Pico Boulevard Safety and Mobility Plan Project.
okay. So before we dive into the project itself, I want to take a second to show the Streets LA Pavement Preservation Program, and specifically on this slide, the pavement preservation dashboard that is available online for public access. This is specifically with the pavement condition index layer turned on. And so this is just to show the way that the city decides to repave, right? So the Bureau of Street Services delivers the pavement preservation program, and that program itself includes repaving, but also includes slurry seal, large asphalt repair, and other pavement treatments. And Street Services, Streets LA uses this as sort of like a kit of a toolkit, right? And Streets LA decides where to repave and resurface based on pavement condition. And pavement condition is determined by PCI as well as an assessment on the street. So PCI meaning pavement condition index. And so here on this screenshot, we have actually a segment of the Pico project that we're going to discuss later, but it details Pico Boulevard from Figueroa to Valencia. And you'll see here the pavement condition is poor for majority of that section. So again, PCI taken with a on-the-street assessment helped the project team determine that repaving was necessary for this part of the project, right? So when we look at, and we also have Bureau of Street Services, Streets LA in the house, if we have any questions about resurfacing or the pavement preservation program. So if we turn our attention then to the Pico Boulevard restriping non-HLA segments, right, which is the item that is before you now. You see this first slide detailing a map of where resurfacing occurred and where restriping only occurred, right? So restriping is happening across the entire project, but the sections circled in red and the sections in green are restriping only. And so this map and where we've decided to resurface was determined based on the previous criteria that I mentioned, right? So pavement condition index and pavement assessment by Streets LA. And so we are making decisions about repaving, not to avoid any responsibility, not to get around any sort of obligation, but simply to affirm and to follow the recommendations of Streets LA on where pavement condition necessitates repaving. And so for this particular report, we are focusing on the restriping segments as circled here. These segments traverse both CD1 and CD10. And here we are restriping the street to include protected class 4 bicycle lanes. These are above and beyond the required treatment, right? And this is 2.4 miles of restriping across those different segments. Again, because this is restriping without making other improvements, we are exempting this project. Briefly discussing the appellant's claim, again, this is similar in that the appellant is claiming that the city erroneously is exempting this project based on the restriping exemption, and that restriping to include bicycle lanes, protected bicycle lanes, should be an improvement. There's also an additional claim of if one segment of a project triggers Measure HLA, so say that resurfacing segment that I mentioned from Figueroa to Valencia, then the entire sort of PICO safety and mobility project should trigger HLA. And then the appellant also discusses slurry seal as an unlawful exemption. Here, DOT staff recommends that we deny the appeal, as again previously mentioned. These 4 segments of 2.4 miles consist of no resurfacing and restriping only, with other pavement preservation, pavement treatment applied, right? Slurry seal in some locations, in order to ensure that that class 4 bicycle lane is traversing over pavement that is in good enough condition for safety, for cyclist safety. And that's it for my presentation.
Thank you very much. Mr. Linton?
So is this for just item 2, or is this for all of PICO?
I mean, we can just focus on item 2 for now,
Okay.
although Mr. Liu got into a little bit of the other ones, but yeah.
Yeah. So Mr. Liu summarized pretty well that this is a 5-mile project. The city's breaking up into a bunch of chunks, and the city is saying, "Oh, we don't need to fix these certain chunks because the asphalt's already good there." Well, in some of those chunks where the asphalt's good, there's no curb ramps for folks in wheelchairs. The sidewalks are broken and impassable and heaved. So the city is looking at a really narrow criteria of saying, is this good for cars? Is our asphalt okay? And therefore, and then it's deciding to only repave certain areas based on only assessing the asphalt and not the pedestrian environment. So my appeal is based on 2 contentions, both of which you've heard before. The restriping one is really basic. The city is, adding new bike lanes. It's taking away certain car lanes and certain parking. And that is a modification that is more than 1/8 of a mile on a city-owned right-of-way. And therefore, this is not only restriping without any modification, this is restriping with modification, and therefore it's not exempt from HLA. So the restriping loophole that the city tries to say only resurfacing triggers HLA isn't met by this project. This is more than this is 5 miles of street reconfiguration. And changing the lanes, adding barriers, adding signage, taking away lanes, adding lanes, parking modifications. These are modifications. The city is not restoring the stripes on the street. The city is changing dramatically what the stripes on the street are, and therefore HLA applies. So that's one of 2 points, both of which Kevin mentioned. The other is you can't, for things like CEQA, you can't piecemeal projects. You can't say like, oh, we're only doing, you can't break a project up into smaller chunks and then declare certain chunks to be exempt. This is a project that the city's gone out and talked to the community about, gone to Metro, got a website that says this is one project. It's one 5-mile long project, and you can't chunk it out into a couple different sections and say, oh, well, this one's less than 1/8 of a mile, when the whole that's one project. It's 5 miles. So you can't piecemeal this to get to limbo under requirements of HLA. This project is resurfacing more than 1/8 of a mile. Therefore, this whole project triggers HLA. This is super clear. It's I hope you can see that it's if you've got a 5-mile long project and you're resurfacing more than 1/8 of a mile, then it qualifies. That triggers HLA. I'm sorry, 3.5 miles. Apologies, I got the number switched on. 3.5 miles. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. We'll go to questions. President Pro Tem Grant.
For Mr. Linton, are you saying then that the resurfacing does not have to be contiguous?
That's a good question, and I'm
it is.
actually
I
in
asked
court
it.
over that on another project. Historically, the skipping a street was counted as one project when you resurface. This project has more than 1/8 of a mile section of resurfacing, so
But not
it has
contiguous.
no contiguous. I can show it to you on the map. The convention center area at the downtown end of the project is more than 1/8 of a mile of resurfacing. So I would contend that based on certain ways of engineering manuals defining projects, that it is possible for non-continuous segments to trigger. But in this case, there is a segment, there's a clear segment greater than 1/8 of a mile. So you don't need to put together two segments to get to 1/8 of a mile.
Kevin, would you like to respond to that, please?
Yes. So I think, apologies if this became confusing, but I think, again, we are still focusing on agenda item 2, which are the non-resurfacing segments. So within the non-resurfacing segments, there is no resurfacing over 1/8 of a mile, right? It is just restriping to include the class 4 bike lane.
So I know we're focusing on 2, but I guess other elements did come up. So Mr. Liu, do you want to just,
Well, let's, okay,
yeah.
can we,
So if you
can we
wanna-
go back to, I don't know, page 5, this is up, this particular slide. What resurfacing is taking place? Is it pavement repair, or is it slurry seal in the blue
So
sections?
for the blue sections, we
And
are
this is as to item 2, not item 3.
For item 2, we are discussing the section circled in red, which are the green
No,
segments.
I'm talking about the blue.
So the blue is a different agenda item. Would you like me to focus on the other agenda items, or?
No. On item 2,
Okay.
which is the slide we have before us right now, we know the green portion is restriping. What type of resurfacing is taking place in the blue section? Is that slurry seal?
So I'm going to have Bureau of Street Services come up and discuss.
Good morning, Commissioners. Prashant Konareddy with the Bureau of Street Services. So during the project development phase, DOT reached out and Streets LA did the pavement assessment. And based on the pavement assessment, the green is shown as a fair pavement condition. So we assessed that slurry is adequate requirement to preserve the pavement condition for a long term. But where there is a blue sections, we determine that those are the pavement sections that are in poor PCI or a pavement condition. So we advised DOT that's where we need to resurface those portion of the corridor. And when the project is in construction, so Streets LA will go do those pavement treatments when the time comes to
That's
the
going to
end
be
of the construction.
full pavement removal, correct?
Yeah, the slurry is just
Or is it slurry?
half-inch.
I'm trying to find out, when we say resurfacing segment, are we going to do slurry in the blue section If
No,
you have
in the
it on
blue
the
section,
screen?
we're gonna resurface, which is grind 2 to 3 inches of asphalt and put a fresh coat of 2 to 3 inches of new asphalt pavement.
So
in
is
the
that
blue
going to be a LAR?
No, LR. LAR is only targeted section for one lane, but this is curb to
This is going to be more
entire
than one
width.
lane?
Yep,
Okay.
yep.
All right. So in those segments, it's not more than 1/8 of a mile, correct, Kevin? Are those segments more than 1/8 of a mile?
So the sections in blue, so it's tricky. There are 3 segments that are over 1/8 of a mile. So you'll see this is
No,
the first segment.
you're going, go back to page 5.
Okay.
This is item 2.
Sorry, I missed that. What was that?
This is item 2. We're on item 2. The other portion was item 3.
Commissioner Mitchell, just to help clarify, item 2, I think this one, I think there's really no agreement, no disagreement, I think, from this board. Item 2 is just the red circles. The item 3 will get to the blue section.
That I understand, but in this particular slide, there's a resurfacing segment. It is less than a mile?
So
Less than 1/8 of a mile?
So on this slide, we're perhaps confusingly showing other agenda items in addition to this one. So this agenda item is just what's circled in red, not including the blue segments.
So this is what I'm asking. Are we saying those blue sections don't require resurfacing?
That's not what we're saying, and we are actually not focusing on the blue sections at all in this agenda item. They do not apply.
Yeah, so the blue section we're not discussing for this
So
item.
it's not subject to HLA?
Yeah, so I think
All right.
the next one will
All
be the
right.
more pertinent.
All right.
Yeah.
I mean, just,
So-
Yes.
I think that's, and this happened, I think, the last time. The confusing thing is when we take one project and then break up different aspects of the same project, and it's sort of, I get lost on this, so it's a little bit difficult. But so thank you, Kevin, for bringing this back.
So this
we're
is
just
only
talking
for
about
the
red
green
circle, the
portion.
green lines.
On this slide, we're only talking about the green sections.
Correct.
Okay.
The sections circled in red, also known as the green sections, the restriping only segments.
Okay.
So you'll see agenda item 2, it's the non-HLA segments, so the restriping only
Okay,
segments.
thank you.
Okay, so I think 3 we'll get to more of discussion. So I think 2 we have agreement. So I'll move with the recommendation. And then is there a second? Seconded by President Pro Tem.
Thank you. We'll roll call the vote. President Kong?
Aye.
President Pro Tem Grant?
Aye.
Commissioner Mitchell?
Aye.
Commissioner Cardenas?
Aye.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
report adopted forthwith. Thank you.
Thank you. So moving on to number 3, and then
Yes, so agenda item 3 is our first resurfacing segment over 1/8 of a mile. Apologies, commissioners. I know this is, it can be a bit confusing, so I appreciate you hanging in there with me. So this is the section that was brought up in the previous example about pavement preservation program. This is Pico Boulevard from Figueroa to Valencia, as shown on the map here. So this is full resurfacing over 1/8 of a mile. This traverses CD1, CD9. We are also restriping the street here to include protected class 4 bicycle lanes. We are complying with the pedestrian enhanced district as well by installing sidewalk and curb ramp improvements. So this is 2,370 feet of resurfacing, 0.4 miles. It is obviously not HLA exempted given that this is resurfacing over 1/8 of a mile. And the applicable networks are the bike lane network tier 3 and the pedestrian enhanced district. And so on the next 2 slides, I just wanted to reiterate the HLA standard elements for each of these networks. So bicycle lane network tier 3, as you can see in the standard elements column, calls for a class 2 bikeway, AKA a striped non-protected bike lane. And so in this instance, the project does deciding to go above and beyond what is in the standard elements, including things that are in the optional elements, by providing a Class 4 protected bicycle lane. The next slide talks about the pedestrian enhanced district standard elements, which this project is also addressing from, again, Pico Boulevard from Figueroa to Valencia. We are addressing severe impediments, we are adding access ramps, and we are ensuring crosswalks and push buttons are physically accessible, transit stops are accessible, and updating pedestrian signal timing as well. And so as a result, well, the appellant is claiming that we, again, are erroneously exempting the project. In this situation, right, I think we are probably in a little bit of agreement in that the city triggers HLA and that we are installing the HLA improvements here. So it is the staff recommendation to deny the appeal, given that we are installing everything as sort of per HLA, right? So I see some.
President Pro Tem Grant.
I'm sorry, Kevin,
Yes.
I'm confused. If we're saying it's not HLA exempted, and we're undertaking the HLA improvements, or maybe it's Mr. Linton's question, but I don't understand what the appeal is.
So the
What's the basis of the disagreement on this?
So the initial appeal was submitted all as one package, right? So I think if you recall maybe to the last hearing, we had this similar issue where we have separate packages, we have separate projects being uploaded, right? And the appeal was to address the project in its entirety. And so in this situation, we're just sort of addressing our resurfacing segments on their own.
So just for clarity, this section, if you want to go back to the map,
yes,
the blue section near the convention center, all the HLA elements are being installed or being planned to install.
That's correct.
Okay.
Plan to install.
So the appeal is really not, is moot at this point.
I would say that's true, but I would want, you know.
Okay. We'll invite
allow our
Mr. Linton. Oh, and then before, Commissioner Cardenas.
Yes.
One question. How does this section of work, how does it overlap with the current convention center construction work? Are they going to get in each other's way? What's the, just curious because I'm looking at the location and it's very, very close, if not inside the construction zone.
You could tell it's a question we've been asked before, so we've got staff jumping up to answer.
Thank you.
Morning, Commissioners, again. Yeah, so there are 3 projects actually. This is a Pico West, and it overlaps at LA Convention Center with the LA Convention Center project. So that portion of the streets between LA Live and Figueroa is currently closed off. And I worked with the PMs on that project so that there is a flow between the project to the west at the convention center, and there is also one more project east of Figueroa. So we haven't figured out whether the LA Convention Center contractor will do the resurfacing or Streets LA. So we still have to work it out, but one of the project will implement resurfacing at the end of the project, Convention Center project.
Thank you. I was just curious because of the
And they will implement all the mobility elements as part of the convention center between LA Live and Figueroa Street.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Linton.
All right, yeah, I agree with Mr. Liu that items 3, 4, and 5, the resurfacing sections of the Pico project that comply with HLA, that they're moot. One of them's less than 1/8 of a mile. I was trying to decide to bring that up or not, but it also complies with HLA. I submitted one appeal, and the deficiencies are in the green area and not in the blue areas. So I would encourage you to approve 3, well, to do whatever you want to do on 3, 4, and 5 together. My
That makes it
appeal
easy.
didn't contend with any deficiencies in those areas.
Given that 3, 4, and 5, there's no issue, I would like to move them together. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by President Pro Tem Grant.
Okay, we'll do a roll call vote. President Kang,
Aye.
President Pro Tem Grant,
Aye.
Commissioner Mitchell, Commissioner Cardenas.
Aye.
Report adopted forthwith.
Thank you. Moving on to number 6. We'll jump to 6.
Okay, thank you for hanging in there with us, commissioners. So agenda item 6 concerns Measure HLA appeal report with regards to Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard Safety and Mobility Project. And so this is, as you can see on the map here, a project that's near the Expo Park area. There is 0.9 miles of resurfacing here, and then also restriping and Surrey seal, in addition to other pavement preservation treatments on these other sections in green. This project was grant funded back in, awarded grant funding back in 2021. And so, oops. You'll see here some more details about the project and the limits. And here we are applying a section of the city's implementation ordinance that we haven't really discussed yet at board here. So I do want to take a second to dive into the actual, the language of this section, right? So this is LA Admin Code section 19.212, and this discusses the applicability of Measure HLA. It discusses that HLA should not apply to a mobility plan project for which construction commenced before the effective date, or to any project that has been awarded grant funds with a defined project scope at the time of the grant award before the effective date. So in this case, MLK concerns that second part of this exemption, right? A project that's been awarded grant funds with a defined project scope before HLA passing. And so this section then walks us through a sort of test, right, in order for us to determine whether or not this project can be exempted. It talks about how, the city shall determine whether the scope can be modified to meet the requirements of HLA without jeopardizing the grant funding here. And then it says if the city cannot modify the project without jeopardizing, meaning double negative, right? If we modify the project and it jeopardizes the grant funding, then we will upload the project to the dashboard in accordance with this LAMC section, which is essentially the exemption section, right? So in this case of this project, this project was awarded grant funding in 2021. We entered into a co-op agreement with Metro in 2021 as well. We also have staff here to discuss details of the funding agreement if you have any questions, or the funding structure and when the grant was awarded. And then Measure HLA passed in 2024, right? And so there was a defined scope at the time of grant awarding prior to Measure HLA passing, and that's documented by the documents that were uploaded with this project, which are an approved board report from Metro, and then also a cooperative agreement. And so the appellant is claiming that the city does not plan to install the appropriate standard elements for the pedestrian enhanced district, transit enhanced network, and bicycle enhanced network. These are all networks that are along MLK. Appellant's also claiming that this project is not exempt due to the funding that we've previously discussed. So kind of challenging what I've just put before you. And then also claiming that restriping outside of that resurfacing area also constitutes improvement. DOT staff is recommending to deny the appeal given that LA Metro awarded grant funding in 2021 prior to the effective date of Measure HLA. Changes to the scope would jeopardize the grant funding. So that test that I mentioned earlier, right? If we were to modify our scope to meet sort of the full extent of Measure HLA, it would jeopardize our grant funding. And then those restriping segments are also exempt from Measure HLA as a part of that grant awarded project. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Before we go to questions, let's bring up Mr. Linton.
So this project is resurfacing. and we've got resurfacing doesn't trigger either, but first I'm going to bring up a point of due process. I appealed this based on certain documents that were included in the Measure HLA website that stated the scope of the project. The city's, the staff report is adding additional documents that weren't available to me at the time of the appeal. And I think that's unfair to the public to sort of pile on extra documents and additional justifications that weren't provided at the time of the appeal. I would say too, so I'm gonna give you all the footnotes first. This map is wrong. The green sections between Central and Broadway was entirely resurfaced. These are not slurry sealed. I have photos of it if you want to see, but the blue line should extend from Central to Broadway and not just the middle section there. So this is false information that you're being presented with. It's not slurry. It's full resurfacing on MLK. It's awesome. It's really smooth. It's an excellent surface for me to bike on. So the city claimed similar exemptions, even this one being restriping without other improvements, but it includes resurfacing. So clearly there are other improvements exactly as defined by HLA. So the restriping claim is false in the city's HLA compliance form that declares this is exempt. So the point of contention is the grant funding. So the city council and city attorney and formulating the ordinance said, like, oh, if you've got a project and it's all defined and it's already all before HLA, then that gets grandfathered in. And the exact wording on that exemption is a project that is awarded grant funds with a defined project scope. So the way I read that is if the city applied for a project that goes from A to B, and the city built, and that was prior to HLA, the city got funding for that, and the city builds that project from A to B, that's exempt because it's grandfathered in. This project, the scope of this project changed dramatically between the approvals prior to HLA and the actual on-the-street implementation. The project as documented on the HLA website was called the Avalon Martin Luther King Gauge project, and then the city modified it to be the MLK Broadway Place and numbered street that I don't remember, 39th. So the scope changed. The city was awarded funding in 2021. The city signed a contract with Metro in 2023, all prior to HLA, that all specify Avalon, MLK, and Gauge. So I think I can't appeal the parts. I shouldn't say I can't appeal. I think I would have a weak appeal based on the grant exemption for if the city did what it actually said in the grant and in the scope of the grant. But the city went out, did a bunch of outreach after signing off on the scope, changed the actual streets in the project. And now the city's saying, oh, well, it's sort of a like get out of jail free card forever. Like the city modified the scope dramatically after HLA became law. And so I think, when we say an awarded grant funds with a defined project scope, there was a defined project scope, but the city didn't use the defined project scope. So this is a different project than what the grant funds exempt. And then all of that I would say is, so that's why HLA applies to this, is that the city modified the scope after HLA was passed. And the grant exemption doesn't carry for different scopes. It exempts what was in place at the time the law was passed. So the contention on this, though, is actually it was in the scope, the original scope, and it was in the revised scope that this short green segment between Broadway Place and Broadway, one block, this was resurfaced in March, I believe. This was resurfaced this spring. The Metro grant said there would be a protected bike lane here. The revised city scope, the city's project form said there would be a protected bike lane here, and this one block was left out. There was no protected bike lane. This is resurfaced. This is a case where the city didn't build what was exempt, but went, ordered off menu, like downgraded a project that was approved to be safe for bicyclists, and at the last minute, like just bait and switch, said, oh, we're that bike lane that we promised in 2021 in the scope, in 2023 in the scope, when we got to the street, we left out. We didn't comply with the mobility plan for this one block. So I would urge you to find that this project, this resurfacing project that the scope keeps changing on, needs to be built as scoped, or it's not or HLA applies. And if HLA applies, the city needs to build a protected bike lane for that block between Broadway and Broadway Place. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions? We have both President Pro Tem Grant and Commissioner Mitchell. President Pro Tem Grant.
Mr. Linton, well, I probably should understand the facts first, but just conceptually, are you saying if the scope was exempted originally for 1 mile or whatever it was, 9/10 of a mile, and then as they're resurfacing, they go 1 block further, that then nullifies the exemption and it's all bound by HLA?
Well, if the grant agreement between Metro and the city had specified that 1 block, I would say yes.
Okay, if they did not specify, they're out resurfacing, they're grinding down, not a slurry. They're resurfacing and it's like, let's just go 1 block further. And I'm not saying that's what happened, but are you saying that then nullifies the exemption completely?
I would say the exemption doesn't apply to that block.
To that block, but then that block though is less than 1/8 of a mile.
Yes, I think if that was the case, yes. I mean,
Yes, it's exempted, or yes, it's not exempted.
For the case of this project, this is a project that's not exempt from HLA, in my opinion, because it's a different scope than
right.
than
asking
what was
a
exempt.
particular situation of a simple block extension to what was originally granted.
In this case, what I would argue is this is, I mean, you're putting a hypothetical that says if the city makes a modification of less than 1/8 of a mile, Could you split that off from the project? I would still argue that's like piecemealing. That needs to be counted as part of the entire project. The if the if the city in a hypothetical, which
I
if the
understand.
city had a 3-mile grant here and did an 1/8 of a mile resurfacing there, whatever 600 feet under an 1/8 of a mile, no, I don't think that would trigger HLA. But it's one continuous project that was cleared with a certain scope, and the city didn't build the scope. Anyways, I mean, I don't I think I can sort of see the hypothetical you're saying, but it's one project. It's not like a separate
And then
1/8 of a mile
if
somewhere.
just, and I hate hypotheticals too, but then if it were to be more than an 1/8 of a mile, the extension, would that mean that the whole project is subject to HLA, even the 9/10 that was originally granted and exempted?
I
Or
mean,
would it just be
I've
the newly-
argued that a dozen times in front of you. Yes, the HLA says it's a project, and HLA says the trigger is resurfacing or other modification greater than 1/8 of a mile. So, yes, they're saying no, but yes, it does. 1/8 of a mile resurfacing triggers for an entire project. Thank you.
Thank
Kevin or who's ever the best authority, can you explain to us what happened? I mean, is it larger than the original grant? And if
Sure.
so, and explain.
Sure. I'm going to pass that off to project staff here. I think just one point to note, when we get awarded grant funding for a project, we're getting awarded for the scope, and the scope often does not necessarily specify where we need to resurface, right? So that is a decision that's made based on pavement condition later. Yep.
Yes, the board. So before that, I just want to clarify the segment between Broadway and Broadway Place was slurry sealed, and we have our street LA colleague here who can also attest to that. So the grant was awarded back in January 2021, as you can see in the Board of Public Reports, Board of Metro Board. And in August of 2021, a co-op agreement was entered between the city and Metro. And in that agreement, the scope was specifically defined as bicycle network along Avalon Boulevard, MLK Boulevard, and Gage Avenue. Also as part of that co-op agreement, Metro manages a consultant that specifically takes on the pre-development portion or the engagement, planning, and pre-design phase of the project. And as combination of that effort, which is kind of the result of that co-op agreement, the final alignments were determined through that in December 2023, which was before the passing of HLA. And the project, I would argue that the scope is still the same. It is the implementation of protected bike lanes. Avalon Boulevard, that's basically this one grant application covers 3 different projects. So Avalon Boulevard is ongoing. It's being constructed by BOE. And the MLK Boulevard, the final alignment was a result of that co-op agreement where the alignment goes to, so the protected bike lane goes on MLK Boulevard from Central Avenue, which is on the right-hand side of that, as you can see here, and go up Broadway Place and then connects to 39th Street. And that ultimately connects to Expo Park and all the amenities that Expo Parks offers. And the scope of the project remains the same. It is protected bike lane. It connects to what we wanted to connect to, which is amenities, transit. So that's where we basically landed now.
Question.
Sure.
I don't know if I'm reading this report correctly, but didn't Metro approve the scope change on or about December 13, 2023?
Right. So as I mentioned, the co-op agreement basically dictates that Metro manages this consultant team, which help us with engagement with the planning, and as a result of that, is this alignment. So Metro has been involved every step of the way. In fact, they were the ones that was managing the consultant team with the engagement with the pre-design.
So the project scope changed prior to passage of HLA in April 2024, correct?
The final alignment changes before the passing of HLA 2024. I would argue the scope is the same because it is implementing the protected bike lanes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other questions, comments? Mr. Liu, did you want to add anything else?
No, unless there's additional questions.
And Kevin, E-striping is the same as restriping?
E-striping is the same as...
It's just a typo, just kidding.
Oh, thank you for catching that. Eagle eye as always.
And just a clarification, in terms of potential changes jeopardizing the grant, can you kind of walk me through that?
I think I could bring Charlie back up here to discuss that.
So again, just want to note, the only segment in question is the one that's in blue, which was resurfaced. And for that segment of MLB Boulevard, it was designated as BEN, Bicycle Enhanced Network. It was also designated as PED, Pedestrian Enhanced District, as well as TEN, Transit Enhanced Network, Moderate Plus. So when we implemented the project, we implemented the protected bike lane, which satisfied the BEN, and we repaired the sidewalks, upgraded and improved the curb ramp, which also satisfied the PED. The only thing in question is the transit enhanced network, which would require the city implement a dedicated bus lane during the peak hours. However, this segment of MLK Boulevard is not served by any Metro bus. It is served by Dash, King East, and that is with a 30-minute headway. So basically, the bus comes twice an hour. So if we were to implement the TEN, it would basically take away one of two travel lanes on King Boulevard during peak hour where the traffic is heaviest, the most congestion, and convert it into a bus lane where the bus only comes twice an hour, which is not practical, and we don't think that's best serving the residents. And in terms of the challenge for implementation is we have to go out to a community and say, hey, the previous engagement that we have done for, since 2021, sorry, that doesn't count anymore, and now we're doing something completely different. It just, it would make us go out, try to rebuild this trust with the community, which is challenging and would drag on the project and would not allow us to be able to finish the project and comply with the grant in time.
Okay, thank you very much. Any last minute questions, commissioners, or comments? Mr. Linton or Lou, would you like to add anything else, or are you good?
I was just checking the Bureau of Street Services website, and I'm less confident, based on what's listed, that this one block here wasn't slurry. From photographs, I don't see a change in the treatment that you can usually spot with slurry, but I don't know, and I apologize for stating confidently that this was wrong. That I plan to bike out there today and take a look at it and see if it's slurry or not. But anyways, I would urge you to based on the entire project, the scope changing over and over to declare that this is this is not HLA exempt, and that the city does need to build the scope that they told Metro, and that that was approved in the city's mobility plan. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Commissioners, any last minute questions or comments? If not, is there a first and a second?
So move. Second.
First by President Pro Tem Grant, seconded by Commissioner Cardenas.
Okay, we'll roll call the vote. President Kang?
Aye.
President Pro Tem Grant?
Aye.
Commissioner Mitchell? Commissioner Cardenas?
Aye.
Okay, report adopted forthwith.
Thank you very much. Ms. Reyes, I believe that concludes our items for today.
Yes, it does.
Thank you very much. Our next meeting of the Board of Public Works will be on Friday, August 7, 2026. The meeting is now adjourned at 11:42 a.m.